access to my account, there's no way you can, otherwise I'll sue my bank.
Exactly.
So if there's no how you want to trick me into that.
So go and withdraw the money and come and give it
That
to
is
you.
between husband and wife. Oh. Anything can happen.
Anything.
Anyway, true.
Thank you very much. This is the Amazons, and we're talking about joint accounts. Before we took the short break, we had two guests in the house who were actually, I think one of the guests, the male guest, was actually focusing more on the cons of a joint account. Now, on our return now, I think we should focus on the pros. What are those
Me, I don't
benefits?
see any pros in it.
I'm thinking
Circumstances.
that
No, circumstances. What circumstances?
you know, Tessie was saying that her husband is a very prudent
yes.
individual. Now, I am a spendthrift. If I had a prudent partner who had the same vision as I did, maybe like I said before, saving towards a particular goal, I wouldn't see any problem with putting some of my money in the joint account, not all of my money.
And you can entrust him with part of your
That's what I'm saying.
income.
Some of it, so because we're saving towards a certain, a certain thing. But I would also, because I'm a control, well, I like to be in control of lots of spheres. No, lots of aspects of my life. Finances being one of them. I would like to have an account that is solely run by me.
So in this situation, you are talking about owning two accounts, one joint and the other one solely by you.
Yes.
So the question of trust is still an issue, because if you trust the man as you have painted the picture, you will put everything in that account now.
No, I couldn't do that.
You won't put anything aside from that joint account.
I agree with you totally. It's not something I can do wholeheartedly. I cannot put all of my money into one account. Just like putting all my eggs into one basket. Why? How many people have one account anyway, by the way? Do you have just one account?
No.
Many people don't have one account, so you would have more than one account. One can be a joint account. The other one can be my personal account, which is what I can go for that. But I'll still want to monitor, unlike Tessie, who doesn't care for alerts. I would like to be having alerts on that phone because I'm working
Well, that's
hard.
a business account, though.
Sorry?
She said that was her business.
Yeah, even if,
account.
I mean,
Even if it's a business account, I want an alert. Don't you want an alert?
I want an alert. I want to know
I would want an alert
coming
too.
out.
And then I'm sure he would also want an alert. It goes without saying that he gets the alert anyway, and he trusts her because she obviously would dare not do anything. I noticed her hair is natural. It's not like Aisha's hair.
These are the hairs that Dede was talking
I
about.
noticed it's not like Aisha's hair. It's not like Omasa's jewelry.
talking about.
So he will let her. All right, at this particular point in time, we would like to invite some other guests to come in and give us their own different views about joint accounts and couples. First and foremost, I'd like to invite Deji Ogunshaiki to come on to the show. How do you do?
Fine, thank you.
Nice to have you on the show.
Hello, Deji.
Please sit down.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
And I'd also like to invite Dr. Raphael James. You're welcome to the show, sir.
Welcome, sir. Hello.
You're welcome to Amazons.
All right, then. Aisha, over to you.
Yeah, I'm
Ask
sure,
them
I'm
the
sure
question.
you're following the discussions. Dr. James, I see you're wearing a red cap, so I want to believe you're an Igbo man.
Yes, I
You're
am.
a red cap chief.
And I know the answer to the question. You will not encourage joint accounts, right?
You might be wrong.
Okay, so is it a yes or a no?
It's a yes.
Joint account?
Yeah.
Okay, so why? Why would you?
Let me give you my own experience, if that's okay by you. I'm from Abia State. I'm married from Ogun State. Now, when I got married, my wife was a little bit worried about the kind of politics that happens in Igbo land when the husband is late.
Yes.
And that actually created some fear in me too, thinking about my family in case anything goes wrong. So what I did was I talked to her. I said, okay, why don't we run a joint account? Probably that way you will be at peace.
You see, that situation,
From
That's
day
the
one.
circumstance
that
right there.
situation and circumstance.
Yeah.
This was agreed on from day one.
Cultural.
Yeah, from day one. From the one we agreed on that. So we opened a joint account. And interestingly, I think after about 3 months after my wedding, I got a political appointment. So my wife was in Lagos, and I left for Government House, Umuahia. Now, it made it much more easier for her to have access to funds. So I pay money from Abia State, and she can access it in Lagos State. I don't necessarily have to send money all the time to her because she has access to the fund. And one more thing. When we opened the account, we had an agreement that we can both withdraw without the other person's signature.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like that. So she can withdraw, whether I'm there or not, whether I sign or not, she can withdraw. I can also withdraw from where I am. I can deposit, and she can also deposit. So it made life much more easier for us.
Okay.
So, I mean, you see, when you started your story, you know, that it made a lot of sense. You know, the cultural and the traditional background of,
Sure.
you know, where you're from. But the instance where these two signatories do not have to sign a check before you get the money, where the other one is, you know, it's not too prudent
Frivolous.
Yeah.
with, you know, spending,
Yeah.
where they are not spendthrift, but they are very generous, you know, with money. How do you then control that account? If more especially if they have to just one person signs and gets the funds out.
I had a case like that too. There was this young man who so much believed in me, believed in the kind of things I was doing. He got married in 2001. I got married in 1999. And when he got married in 2001, he also came up with that same idea to run a joint account with a wife. I talked about it with them, and they said, okay, they want to try it. They opened an account. But along the line, what happened was that the wife came from a very rich home. And so she had access to funds from the father, so she was actually equipping the account very well. And the husband was more of a playboy and needed some funds to play around. So each time the husband withdrew money from the account without telling the wife, it always caused problem in the house. Because they always called me and said, hey, it don't happen, no, come, make we talk again. I was like, it can't be like this all of the time. So the two of you should agree, or probably maybe he needs to open an account separately. And the truth of the matter was, I think about a year later, because the crisis kept on coming, the guy will withdraw money without giving a proper account of what he used the money to do. And the woman went to the bank and instructed the bank that my husband should not withdraw without my signature.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, they have to separate the accounts.
You see where the
Which is
problem
better.
Yeah, that's actually where the problem could come in.
Okay.
Ogunshaki can
Yeah, because like you said, that's the trust issues that happen. Because when, especially, it even happens when someone owes an ATM card, withdraws at will. The man hangs out weekends, Fridays, spends the kind of money you can't spend yeah, exactly at home. So it's a problem. And again, what we have right now is that people who run joint accounts, maybe just because they want to have a joint project, maybe because of mortgage, they want to have because women a lot of times want property. When husband buy property, they want it on their name, or the two names, or Mr. and Mrs.
Yes.
So that can create avenue for a joint account. Then again, maybe they want to have set aside some money for household payments or utility bills or thereabout. Of course, they can have that kind of. So a lot of time, what we see these days are those things. Not necessarily joint account, are putting our hands together.
That are put together
That's
for
set
a
aside
certain purpose.
exactly
So
for certain purpose.
that cannot, it can, why don't we call it a dedicated account? Because it's for a purpose.
But
It
it's
is.
jointly
Another joint
funded.
account.
Yeah.
It's
So
jointly funded. So it's some kind of a
dedicated,
joint
it's for that
account.
purpose.
For purpose, because in reality, that's what we have. That's what we have, because the truth is, I think women are more prudent in spending. They're more
Can
prudent.
be.
Some women.
Can be
They
more
can be
prudent.
more prudent in spending. And again, when you need to now explain your hard income, how you spend your hard income to somebody else, it becomes a problem. I mean, the man, the woman works maybe in a oil company, has so much money, maybe the husband, a civil servant. Now, you have this bag, Prada bag, $1,000 you want to buy, you have your ATM, just want to go online and shop. And it becomes a problem because you have to explain. You make this so much money, and somebody says that you have to just explain, so it becomes a problem. So you can, it makes, I mean, you have a easy life. I mean, you've had a wonderful experience though,
Yes.
but there are a couple of other issues that people can't explain.
You see, this joint accounting is very tricky. You know, people change.
Yeah,
You
sure.
know, it may be, yeah, you're so in love today, everything is rosy, you know, you have a question, you trust one another. We are human beings.
True.
You know, first and foremost. Yeah, 5 years along the line, 6 years, 7 years,
Focus.
you know, it is not the same zeal. It is not the same enthusiasm anymore. Priorities will change. People will have different, you know, you see things differently. At that point, what happens when you have a joint account? I've seen, you know, I have a friend who's, who the issue that Patricia earlier said, trusted her husband with everything. She didn't bother to know anything about what the joint account was about, the property they own. And they've been married for close to 20 years, if not more. And you know what? The husband cleaned her out.
That's what happens.
You see why I'm so passionate about this? You go into this thing with your eyes open and with a presence of mind.
Because what's supposed to be the advantages for maybe if one individual, the both parties can have access to the fund. Maybe one is not around. That trust will be betrayed in the end, because okay, we have a joint account that you can sign, either can sign. Yeah. Now, what happens when I'm not there? And that the deal will have been done. We will have cleaned out the money. The bank will honor the check. They will honor. You want to withdraw, they will honor it because that's what you have in your mandate.
Yes.
Then, if either fraudulently or genuinely, he will have withdrawn. Then what happens to that person? Maybe a lot of times, the person that will be at the civil end will be the one contributing the most.
Exactly, thank you.
So
she was the one working. She worked. She was the one who worked and got everything.
Exactly.
And then this man just came and, you know.
No, but then, even if they were not having joint accounts, let's assume they were having separate accounts, they're husband and wife. If there was a challenge in the house and the man was willing to pull out of the marriage, for example, are you saying he probably wouldn't have looked for how to access the wife's account and take whatever she wanted to take?
No.
How would you access it if
The bank will be held accountable. How?
No,
Because if you are the signatory to my account, you
how
can't.
would you access
In the first instance, he wouldn't have made it obvious he was pulling out. So probably he would have also looked for how to trick the wife to get the fund before leaving.
No, because if you don't have a joint account, look at it this way: if you don't have a joint account,
Yeah.
there's no how, and the mandate to our banker is that either of us can sign, right? Now, if you don't have access to my account, there's no way you can. Otherwise, I'll sue my bank.
Exactly.
So if there's no how you want to trick me into that.
So go and withdraw the money and come and give it
That
to
is
you.
between husband and wife. Oh. Anything can happen.
Anything.
Anyway, true.
Between husband and
that's
wife, anything
true.
can happen.
That's
I
the
agree.
truth.
I agree.
But again, talking about joint accounts, there are actually two ways to it. There's a situation where you agree with your banker, I can't withdraw without my wife's signature, and she can't withdraw without my signature. Now that is one. There's another one where the two of you can also withdraw without the other person's signature. So there are actually two different ways to it.
It depends on the mandate that you
It depends on the mandate here you have with the bank.
Well, I think we're running out
No
of
matter
time.
which mandate, one can
We'll
compel
have
the
to
other
come
or
back
convince
to
the other
finalize this
to-
discussion.
to
Okay, quick
sign.
one here, just a one-liner to sign off from what you've said so far. Is it possible, joint account, yes or no?
I should say yes. It's a wonderful thing to do, at least to maintain the family, to keep the family
And keep the
in
trust
union.
going
Yes,
as
to
well.
keep that trust
What
running.
about you?
For me, I think it's safe. Each should have separate accounts, really. But you should be open. Let them know your properties, because anything can happen, accidents, plane crash, so they know where to
You have
go.
next of kin and
Yeah,
a
you
will.
have a will. So really, as long as that is there, no need for joint
So he
account.
says no, he says yes, and it has worked for him. So whatever your decision is or your opinion, just make sure it works for you and talk about it from the day one of that relationship, so that it doesn't bring up any funny ideas at the end
course,
of the day.
of course.
All right, we'll take another short break, and when we come back, we'll be talking to another guest, also on joint accounts. Don't touch your dial.
I've seen situations where a man passes on, and it becomes so hard for the woman to access
His funds.
his funds. Not even knowing, people don't even care how hard the woman has worked with the man to make sure there are such funds there.
Thank you for that hearty welcome back to the show, the Amazons. I want to introduce a very well-known TV couple to you. They are television producers, television presenters, publishers of tourism magazine, Guge Africa. All right, Nneka and Isaac Moses, ladies and gentlemen.
Isaac and Nneka. Hello, Isaac.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you. Hello, Nneka. Nice to see you again. Nice to see you.
Yes.
Please have a seat.
Okay, here.
Yes.
All right.
I was counting the kisses 2 times 10, 20
Wow. I think I'm blessed to be among the such.
Oh, yeah.
See what she does for you.
Yes, sir.
All right, then we're talking about joint accounts. Joint accounts. Is it a yes or a no? When should it be initiated? And what type of quality of accounts should it be? So over to you, Nneka. Let's start with you.
Okay, I'm not an expert, so I'll just stick to what works for me. Okay. For me, I have a savings account that I've always had before I met him, and I'm sure he also had one. But when we got together, one thing led to another, like he keeps saying. We felt the need to have a joint account. One, we both work together. Our primary income today is from one source, Guge Africa and all its branches. Yes. And but before then, I was more like into costuming, and he was like into modeling and acting.
And voiceovers.
And voiceovers, thank you. So when we got together, he introduced the idea of Guge Africa. And since we have the same vision, mission, I bring my money, he brings his money. And after a while, he said, you know what, let's just have an account for this, our project. Now, our project is in 2 parts. Our marriage is a project. Guge Africa is another project. So we set up our joint account. So today, we still run that account. In fact, most of the money goes in there. It's when I want to save some money. If I ever get to save some money, I put it aside on my savings for rainy day. There are days I borrow him money.
Yes.
Be like, okay, go and bring from your savings. You see, this one is running low.
But she makes me pay.
Of course, so that you can borrow again.
But my dad does not pay my mom when he borrows money from her.
Well, signs of the times.
You see it?
Yes.
That men are, they are not just prudent. You borrow, you don't want to pay back. It's a loan.
Because that's what you pay back.
Borrow another
So you can borrow another
And
time.
I said to her, look, there are very few guys who would borrow money from their wives
And pay
still
back.
pay back.
But-
So I'm more of the exceptions.
Okay.
So you
So I
can,
tell
then
her-
imagine, you can then imagine if there was a joint account being operated by that man. You take out all the money and never tell your wife that you don't pay it
Ask
back.
him, in our 17, 18 years of marriage, have I ever said no to borrowing you money?
No.
See,
How many
it's
times
because
have
you
you paid
pay
back?
back.
I pay back, really. The thing is, now having a joint account makes you, she knows when you have money and when you don't have money.
Okay.
So, and keeping a joint account means you have to be disciplined.
Okay.
And when you run a joint account with your wife, she's not going to make requests that is out of the way because she knows what's in the account.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why if you have a joint account, you save yourself a lot of hassle of trying to explain why you can't provide this or why she can't have this. It makes it all.
You know, this is a marriage
Exactly.
that was born on the right foundation, and it's like that.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
and it's an open book.
Yes.
That's why that can work. If this marriage was not an open book where most men till today think that their wife shouldn't know exactly how much they earn.
That's a
or
big
when
mistake.
They have
Yeah,
money.
it is a
So
mistake.
it's difficult for the wife to know when to ask for something and when not to ask for something or to assume things.
Although with all due respect to the women, it's that it works for my wife and I doesn't mean it would work
Works
for
for everybody.
That's right. Because you have to understand the kind of woman you have. When you know her kind, you can at least say, look, this woman is disciplined. She has integrity. I think you can afford to run a joint account with her without regretting it.
Yes.
And then two, as an African, I've seen situations where a man passes on. And it becomes so hard for the woman to access
His funds.
his funds. Not even knowing, people don't even care how hard the woman has worked with the man to make sure there are such funds there. You know, and then it becomes an issue. So if you have a joint account, where now the kind of joint account we have is such that she can sign and I can sign.
Okay. You don't need two signatures. Either can
Yes.
sign. Yeah.
Either can sign.
But if you must operate a joint account, you know, my position is don't operate it. But if you must, why can't two people sign? That way you are responsible to the other party,
No, it
and the
means-
other party knows what's going on with the
No,
account.
it means if you are not
What's
there,
around?
the other can't access such funds.
Yes,
That's what it
if
means.
you're not
Okay,
there.
both parties have to sign.
That's it.
If
you're
I
not there,
sign,
Isaac
the money
negative.
comes out. If he signs, the money comes out. And for me, if it's not that way, then it defeats the purpose
That's right.
of a joint account. For you to really have a joint account that works, the foundation is, the trust have got to be there.
It has to
and
be there.
it takes a level of responsibility. You know, I can't just go in there and take money. And the way it has been for us, even before the joint account, he initiated it, I must say. I'll give him the credit.
Yeah.
When we were dating, he could go do a job and just stop by my shop and say, "Nne, keep this for me." And what I did is I opened the book for him. So anytime he gives me money to keep, I write it down. So there was a time he needed money to do something and he's telling me he doesn't have enough money. I said, "But you do." Okay, that aside, when he invites me, say, "No, will you come over for the weekend, make okra soup at a location, but you can find the money in, we have this Marlboro container since like how many years now? I just can't throw it away. Take the money in the Marlboro container. I could go there, I see like 10K way back then. And this okra soup, I know exactly how much. So I'll take just the much that I need. I make the soup. And so over time, I made him develop the trust because I gave him
earned
reason
that
to
trust,
trust me.
yes.
So no matter what my people want, even they all know. If you want whatever it is you want from Isaac or from Nneka, whether you tell me or he's hearing it, you tell him, "Oh, I'm hearing it."
You see, that was going to bring me to my next question.
And they will now decide
He's-
exactly how much you can afford to spend.
like Isaac now, like you're saying this on TV, so
Yes.
even if his in-law, your
they know.
in-laws didn't know before, do you
No,
get
but they
like,
know.
Now your wife, they hold all the money.
They know because after a while, they now realize that it's faster when you tell me. Because
Okay.
I remember, I make a point of duty to take notes of anything and everything.
Yes.
So when you tell me something, I make a note, I put it in my handbag. You tell him, if I'm there, I take the note for him. If I'm not there, you're lucky if he remembers. So one day he say, it's true. This person said I should do this. No, what do you think? I said, since when? I said, since last week. So it's easier for everybody to just tell Nneka. Even if I want to say no, I can't say no. I'll ask him first. What he decides to do also matters. He is the head anyway. I may be the neck.
You are the neck. All right, and then what is the head
You
without
make
the
it
neck?
sound so interesting
Yes.
and very tempting.
It works for us.
Because no, hold on. I have where I'm going.
I know where you're going.
Very easy, tempting, and inviting.
Yeah.
That's because there's a bond between you two.
There is.
That's because you've
There's
grown to
trust.
become one, and the trust, the trust was nurtured.
Yes, over time.
And it was tested.
Yes,
Do you understand?
and true.
But
That's
for people who just, okay, now we are one husband and wife. Now we have to pool our resources together, whether dedicated for a project or for running the house. I'm saying, look, where is the trust coming from? I mean, you have earned it,
Yes.
for whatever happens for both of you.
Yes.
But from what the story you've told me now, this is a union forever.
Amen.
Amen.
It
Amen.
is glaring. But for those who are just a flash in the pan, who didn't, you cut today, you marry tomorrow, you don't have that history. There's no basis for, to build or nurture a trust.
But
How does it come about?
I actually think successful marriages are actually the grace of God, really.
True.
Because you really don't have the recipe for a successful marriage.
Very true.
Because what applies to you may not apply to other people.
Yes.
And, the different perceptions. A man, you don't know his background.
Exactly.
My mom and my dad, they live together, right? They're still there, married, for over 50 years. And, if I go by how I grew up, if my dad borrows money from my mom, that's it.
That's it.
Pay back. If she asks for this money, you say, all the money I brought for this, what are you asking? and really, which is true.
But it still works for them because marriage is about sacrifice, compromise.
Exactly.
No, she's used to it.
But the thing is, your mom is not complaining.
She's well, she'll grumble, she'll call me. and say,
But she's not going anywhere. 50 years.
And if I send them money, I have to specifically say,
This is
this
for
one
this
is for Mama, and this is for you. Because
Otherwise, everything is for Papa.
But I must chip in. When you see these days, when people get into marriage, not just these days, even then, people have their own different agendas. I don't know. Maybe I meet a guy I like, he likes me. For me, maybe because he has a lot of money, and I've had friends or younger people. Oh, you're getting married. Wow, you must love him very much. Like, well,
really?
Auntie, he'll take care of me. He'll take care of me. I said, how come? How do you mean? He said, he's very rich. So you see, that is the basis for her.
Failure.
You understand? And some guys will be like, nah, you know, I've been around. It's about time I settled down. My mom is worried and all that.
in fact, I took a special liking to her. Back then, I was a man about town, you know, on location, here and there,
We could
activities.
go on forever. My director is
Of all
telling
the
me.
friends I had,
Time
she
out.
doesn't ask me too many questions. You know, you don't want to go asking too many questions. Once you go, where did you go last night?
Ask
I
no
heard you went to the
questions
club.
and you'll be
This
told
is-
no lies.
See, let me
Thank you very
confess,
much.
my God is faithful. I was
it.
not asking questions because I didn't see you like a marriage material. My dear, I'm telling you the truth, if I thought that this is going to be my husband, I'd be like, where were you? Who were you with? I want to checkmate, you know, and protect my own.
And then I would have put him off.
And I would have put him off.
Exactly.
And
So
I would
that's
have
why my
put him
Lord is
off.
faithful.
So you see? All right, then thank you very much. Always a pleasure to be with you. They are my friends on and off screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Everybody's friends.
No, my friends on and off screen.
Yes.
All right, then, Aisha, one liner we're about to conclude.
One liner is, well, I've had every reason to want to change my mind.
Yes.
Because some of them actually do sound reasonable. But I still stick to it. No joint account.
No joint account for you. What about you, Amasa? Same thing.
Circumstance.
How else can you shout situation?
Like they just
All right, thank you very much. So, joint accounts or not, I think what I've gathered from the whole discussion we've had today is that if the friendship is built on a solid, trustworthy foundation, it can work.
It can.
Without that, sorry about that, it can't work. You can have a so-called joint account, a business account, a dedicated account, like Aisha would call it, where you channel money towards maybe your mortgage or a specific. But apart from that, no joint account for me as well. You can continue this discussion on our social media platform, Facebook, The Amazons, Twitter @AmazonsNG, our website page, amazons.com.ng. Until we come your way next week, stay focused. You have a joint account? Why?
Because you can like compare your account with your wife. She might like go behind you and spend it.
What about if you go behind her and spend it?
I can never do that because I'm sure of yourself.
I already understand myself, but I can't understand.
Another person.
So the only thing I just want to be mine.
So you want to keep your money to yourself and then she keeps her money to herself.
We both come from different
Backgrounds.
We don't like as I am now. I don't even trust myself. Anything can come up. And
Circumstance or situation like Masa
yeah,
said.
when she's not there, I might want
Might fall in love with someone else.
Start spending without her notice. So I don't
So the best thing is for her to keep her money,
keep
Jeje.
your money and keep mine. So spend it anything I want to spend it without any.
I don't have a joint account.
You have a joint account where
Yeah,
you
me
put
and my
your
mom.
wife or your...
Me and my mom.
Oh, your mom and yourself.
Yeah.
Do you work?
I work.
That's a lovely one, you know. It doesn't have to be between a
So
couple.
she's not staying in Lagos State. I can send money to her easily. She can withdraw money easily from one simple account.